Yes, welcome back. Open Class Doodles. It's happening. Again, episode 19. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for skipping on you guys for episode on Tuesday where I promised the Battle of Troy with the incredible Dragon Slayer commentaries. We had technical problems, let's call them that way, and a million other things that we had to take care of. And I'm really sorry for missing that one. But this one today is quite remarkable. Open Class Doodles 19. It's all about charisma, however you want to call it. And why is charisma important? Because it's the one super tool that connects all the other instruments that will make your performance incredible, exquisite, magnificent, stupendous, just remarkable from the beginning till the end. And without any further ado, let's jump in today's episode and let's see what's cooking. Yes, we're here. It's back. Yeah, this incredible show is back, and hopefully you guys are joining, because Open Class Doodles, guys, is about you. It's about the community. It's about people coming together, bringing their sweat, their passion, their questions, how I always call it, to a program, and trying to kind of find enlightenment, try to find something new, try to find a product, try to find some info, some edutainment, whatever it is. So, guys, on Facebook and Instagram, hop over to YouTube, guys over here. Thank you so much, Chad, for being present. And let's, make this a bigger stream. Let's smash the like button. Let's join this and subscribe to the channel. This is so, just a little thing for you guys, just to push on that button, but it goes such a long way to support the Coach MC studio and whatever we do over here, because we're truly, we're thrilled to do this. We're really kind of enthralled by giving by having this idea of giving you great content that you can work with, that you have fun with, where you can get better with whatever, your performance quest is, whatever that is, whatever your artistic quest looks like, whether that's drawing, whether that's, creating, whatever type of art, performance, acting, entertainment, edutainment, stand-up, comedy, whatever it is, you can use the tools that we present over here that have been forged and, an incredible long time with with a lot of great collaborators all over the world, with a lot of creative minds on different sets and with different artistic missions. So you can definitely we could definitely say that this stuff that we teach over here is truly effective, and it's truly like a tangible, effective instrument that we love to transmit to you guys, and you can use it and implement it right away into your workflow. So therefore, for this value proposition, please smash that subscribe button. It just it gives us that boost, and it shows also YouTube what you cherish the most. And here we go to another. This is preposterous, right? Like, incredible. We are 3 minutes in the show. We're just advertising ourselves. I mean, this is incredible. Before we provide even value, I mean, this is against the holy rules of YouTube, right? It's like, first provide generously something people can work with that solves a problem, and then ask for something in return. Not ask for something in return before. But hey, we're here at the Coach MC studio also to teach you that the unexpected, right? The unprecedented, the surprising, the weird, the nasty, sometimes is also a good recipe to get acknowledged, to get recognition, to get focus, right? It's not always following the rules that pays off the bill. And before we start with today's episode, that is a truly important one. And actually, this episode came to me through through one of my research waves that I entertain with YouTube and with all the other resources, books, all the other, resources that I, that I ask, that I inquire about, finding out what's most effective for you, right? So whether it's reading a book or having reflections on my own work or studying my own doodles or, going to the movies, to a museum, right? Kind of listening to music and getting inspired by that. Through all these waves of research, I've stumbled over a guy whose name is Wing Zhang. I think I'm pronouncing him right, hopefully. I've met him, I've seen him on a podcast with Christo from the Future, which is a great design group in LA that I follow, that I admire, that I absolutely, in a way, also study and kind of research myself and try to kind of reverse engineer their processes of success, their tools, because they're a really cool group on YouTube. You really definitely should check them out. They're they're so great and informative and also entertaining in a way, and very, very slick and very cool. And Christo is like a great guy, a great entrepreneur, great designer. And he had this talk with Ming Jiang, and he's a keynote speaker who comes from the magician background. And he kind of broke down in another video that I saw from him. He broke down what charisma and stage appearance and you know what the magic on stage actually is in his language and to his ideas, right? And me as a performer, coming from stage myself, being an actor and having, you know, all sorts of stages in my belly in terms of experience, right? I was very interested and intrigued, and this is basically the first time we do this over here at the Open Class Doodles. So definitely this is a debut, right, for me as well, like to kind of, you know, hack someone else's work. Of course, we have book presentations and all that as well, or when we study songs. But this is something that I find interesting because myself as a performer, like you learn this stuff. And of course, you ask yourself a lot of questions, how you impact the audience. And as a coach, you kind of reverse engineer the process also of the students and the clients that are coming over to your studio. And so therefore, you learn a lot through the reflection that you give as being the helper, right? That's for sure. But kind of seeing the standpoint expressed from someone else, like what they think charisma, stage appearance, what that actually means to them and how they explain it to their audience, gives you a lot of new insight. And I was fascinated by kind of the material that he put forward. And so I dove deep into this. And this is actually a part of a client's worksheet, right? This is a part of a structure that I also would work with my private clients, where I break down stuff in a bit more granular way, where we talk about things even in a bit more sophisticated and of course a bit more personal matter. And so therefore I've made this doodle today based on the Wing Jiang presentation, but of course there's a lot of, you know, the Coach MC studio also going on. But I did find that this expression was interesting to see from another person, like what he thinks the stage actually needs, and kind of in my reflection to that. And yes, there is a lot of good stuff in the way he makes it appear like in smaller chunks that are easy to digest and to understand. I highly appreciate that, because this is what this endeavor over here at the Coach MC studio is definitely all about, right? With our videos, we love to do exactly that. Give you like long format content. Yes, okay, maybe 45, maybe an hour, maybe an hour and a half content, but that hour and a half, that 45 minutes, that 60 minutes type of content can save you, you know, months of work and help you to promote and boost your current craft, you know, into the future massively. So therefore, it's a rather small investment that you have to make to have that type of outcome if you apply this thoroughly. So therefore, I can't wait to jump in today's presentation. Again, welcome back to everybody who's joining us today. Welcome, Chad. Thank you so much to the people joining us on Instagram. It's a great opportunity again to jump in these beautiful topics and getting better in the process, hopefully as well. Okay, so let's dive into today's idea. Like I always do, guys, let me just talk metaphorically a little bit before we kind of address, you know, the doodle itself, because I feel like, yes, every instrument is, you know, that is effective is helpful for sure. But if you don't know how to use that instrument or what that instrument stands for or what you can actually do with it, right? Of course, you explore it by using it, but I love the metaphors and the introductional part of this almost the most, because it's that part that actually counts. You know, what I present to you doesn't matter. It's your will that matters. What I have to give to you, yes, might be good for a while, even for a year. It could also be till the rest of our days, right? But that isn't my purpose here. Of course, I love to leave a legacy. But this legacy sometimes is made out of bigger stones and sometimes it's made out of smaller stones. So this might be a smaller stepping stone or a huge one for you. But in the end, it doesn't really matter, because the only thing that matters is your attitude towards the work. It's your attitude towards creating a legacy for yourself. It's your attitude towards, you know, deconstructing the skill, basically. Yes, you might say I'm an outgoing person. I'm a very energetic human being, but that came over time. I wasn't necessarily always like this. You know, I was rather pale and a bit skinny when I grew up and rather small. I was full of energy and ideas, but I was also pretty shy and sometimes even an introvert at certain occasions when I felt like I wasn't really understood. And I wasn't like of any physical appearance that was imposing. And so therefore I had always to fight to get that stage, interest, to get people to wake up and be curious about what I was doing. So when I was small, when I was skinny, when I was pale, when I was that guy, I was doing all sorts of funny and weird things and kind of introducing humor into my performance box, so people could at least laugh, over me, about me. And when I got older, of course, I did something also to, modify my presence, my physical presence as well. Because in the end, I believe everything that we do as performers, as entertainers, as actors, as people who are interacting with screens or with audiences. I mean, how many languages do we have? I'm not talking about the languages on this planet. Like, how many languages as performers do we have? How many entertainment languages do we actually possess? Think about that, chat. Let me know what you think. Write it down in the comment section, also on Facebook and Instagram. How many entertainment languages do we own as actors, as performers, as entertainers, as dancers? Right? Yeah, not many, right? We have our body, which is our physical language. And then, of course, if you want to reduce it then to the face, then you have your facial language, your mimic game. And then you have your language when you speak, which is your vocal image, your vocal, appearance. And then we have gestures and, pretty much that's our idea, language, what we do, what kind of actions we perform. So there are only these concepts. There are not other concepts than the visual concept and the sonar concept. So it's a visual language, and that it's a vocal image and a vocal language, right? This is what we have. This is what breaks also down charisma. What is it that on stage, makes that big impact? Why do we look up to these people and say, I want to be like this guy, or she delivered a thunderous speech, or wow, she was really charming on stage and she was singing, and wow, she kind of caught my attention right away. Like, how do do they sprinkle fairy dust over people and they fly in? No, they are cooking with water as well. They're coming on stage and they're delivering their program. So, but it seems that they are doing this completely naturally. The really great masters, they are kind of melting these two disciplines, these two aspects in such a way that it looks absolutely, cooked and baked and prepared in the moment, right? That it seems like coming out of the lamp right now and not studied for months and months. But let me tell you something. It is studied for month and month. It has been planned for years. It has been integrated into the muscle memory. And Strasberg says, it's not about the memory of the body, even though, of course, he did a lot of those, memory relaxation type of exercises and sense memory and all that. But in a way, I agree, and I don't completely agree, because my experience on set is always like, hey, you have a certain way of instantly reacting to something or intuitively reacting to something that is kind of memorized, that is already pre-established in your system. And usually it works pretty well. For a while, maybe you fight against it because you don't want to get too complacent, because if you just, have just little things in your just a few things in your toolbox, then you just have a couple of instruments, right? But you need, of course, like a bigger reservoir of tools. But if you have a couple of tools that work well, then there is no need to kind of bury them just because you have them already, right? There is just a need to maybe enlarge the spectrum and make it a bit bigger and getting more stuff in there, but it's not neglecting what you have already. So what I mean by that is, when you have it in your memory, when you have it installed, when you have it there, it's there for a reason. So there is a truth about remembering certain things. So I would disagree in this fact with Strasberg that things just happen in the moment. Like I always say, structure, chaos, structure. If you study something so completely and obsessively, then it becomes, internalized by your system. And on top of that very strong foundation, you can start to improvise. You can start adding colors. when I was a kid, like I said, how did I produce charisma? By kind of compensating my lack of physical dominance and appearance, right? And also because I felt like myself a bit like an outsider. My parents were divorced. I was always kind of in between Germany and Italy. It was a weird upbringing, right? I had not a really stable household. All these things that you take for granted in a childhood, they really weren't part of my childhood. But that was okay because, like I said, I was always compensating, always adapting. So I don't have that. Well, okay, then I invent something funny. So then I distract from that reality and I kind of, create my own second reality where I own the space. And how can I own it? By making people laugh, by making people wonder what I'm all about. I was sometimes trying breakdance on a day, and then on the other day I was playing with the other kids with kind of imitating other animals and sounds, and the other day I was trying all sorts of things just to get attention of people and distracting from myself that I thought wasn't that great. And when I later grew up, I understood, okay, this stuff is already part of my system. All right, that's part of my muscle memory. I know how to entertain people and get them into being interested in me. Now that this is already part of me, I can really neglect it and say, no, I'm the serious actor and the serious character. Now I'm going to leave that apart. And I did this for a while, and I hated myself for doing that, right? Because in a way, this is exactly what made me strong. So I was neglecting my most powerful part. What I did get wrong back then is that I had to integrate that to become a real entertainer, a real presenter, like a real host of the evening, a real master of the ceremony, right? We call ourselves the Coach MC Studio for a reason, because we truly believe in this concept. It's not just a funny anecdote or just, yes, it is, of course, marketing, but it comes from a real place. It comes from, true happenings, true occurrences that kind of, build my craft and build also the craft of my partner in crime, my beautiful wife that is, conducting these operations with me. And she's integral part of the Coach MC Studio and of the creation as well. And she grew up similarly with a bit more of a stable childhood, but also being part of entertainment industry pretty early, being on set very early at a stage in life, like, not even 18, being already, on set, shooting as an extra, and then, growing into the script supervisor business and starting, being responsible over, whole shows at a very young age. All that formed us. This is, of course, part of us. And now with that structure, we are confident that what we propose, because through pattern recognition, we know that it works, and through the reflection of our own experience that we turned into wisdom, we know what to improve. We can now, in a very quiet and humble way, say that we have become some sort of masters of our skill sets, right? That we have mastery over our instruments, and that we know what we're doing when we're talking about entertainment. And of course, improvement is always around the corner, and we will never stop. And this show here goes as a witness to that, and a witness also to the chat, to the people present tonight that want to improve, that want to get better. So our testimony is that, yes, you need talent, but it's not the most important part, even when we're talking about charisma. Even when we're talking about stage appearance, even when we're talking about the two pillars of how this whole thing is composed of, and what we need. And what we need, we're going to take a look right away after you smash the like button. Just for the value proposition that we're offering right now. We have 4 people online, and definitely more out over there. Just come over here and smash this like button and be part of this great convention of awakening wonders, right? How Russell Brand always likes to call it, which is a very cool way of defining it, I gotta say. So like I said, I got this from Wing, and as a performer myself, I find very interesting how he kind of breaks down the process of what he thinks a great public speaker needs to do. And remember, we always exchange ideas, right? This is the ether. This is the place where things come together. And so there is this beautiful synchronicity about ideas popping up at the same time, arguments being discussed at the same time, topics being relevant in different points of the world at the same time. So synchronicity is all about kind of also feeling what resonates with you in the room, and how you connect also with the people in the room, right? Even if that's a huge auditorium or just a little, casting director's office, like small room, it doesn't matter. It matters that you are open, that you are open to suggestions, that everything happens there for a reason of being used and not refused, right? Because I feel like most of the times when you watch somebody making a presentation who's not out of entertainment business, who doesn't know the rules of the game and has not necessarily kind of gained that type of knowledge through his childhood and not necessarily is outfitted with a certain talent of performing, then you see those speeches. And let me say, sometimes I'm invited at grand openings, at events where maybe politicians, maybe officials kind of speak in order to make a little inauguration or to kind of open up a certain place to the public. And we get across a lot of people, right, that are coming out of their institutionalized position. And now all of a sudden they have to kind of make the speech, right, and kind of deliver this monologue. And this is also a reason why we have readytoperform.com, because the request was, the demand was there, where people felt like not only actors, but a lot of people also from the corporate and institutionalized sectors of everyday life kind of asked us for help and said, hey, you know what, we need someone to help us out with our presentation, right? We have more and more events. It has become increasingly important to show people that you can communicate with confidence what the ideas of the of the companies of the company are, and therefore we also need to buff up. We also need to kind of skill up and kind of deliver better speeches, involve more and more people, because money is everywhere, the relevance is always higher, the pressure is always bigger, and people need to kind of reach out to more and more people, and more fields of interest are now playing out also in the corporate sector. So public speaking has become really a skill like acting that is super important, not only in the performing sector but also in the business sector, of course. And therefore the request was that to kind of deliver a blueprint on how people easily can understand what a great public speaker, what that person does. Like, because sometimes we're fascinating and our brain has the tendency to over mystify, say, oh yes, he's a genius, right? Oh wow, he's great, nobody can reverse engineer that, right? To have an excuse to not even try it. That's just our ego that wants to go the path of least resistance. Demystify the stuff, put the tent apart, kind of look behind the curtain and understand that there are very simple processes and operations and little gears that actually go into a bigger gear that make this whole clockwork of entertainment work. And there's not necessarily magic behind it. It's a lot of work and passion for sure, but definitely, even if you're not born with that talent, you can reverse engineer what's most important of that and show attitude behind that process and become that public speaker, that charismatic person, that leader, that person that gets respect, and that communicator that finally gets understood, and that that CEO, that executive officer that brings the company into the future in a healthy way, because all of the employees were understanding what the mission was. And of course the audience standing up and giving you standing ovations because they completely understood what the character was about and were impressed about the delivery. So how can we create that easily? How can we understand that? How can we break that down? Well, like I said, if you go on stage, there are just two ways of getting perceived, right? It's your body and it's your voice. Something else doesn't really kind of, connect with the people down there. And so your body is dressed in a way that speaks a certain language, right? Your body is dressed in a way that you deem, stylish, that you deem comfortable, that you deem useful, that you deem nice, where you feel good, but it conveys also a message. So the way I'm dressed right now, it kind of conveys a message, right? Everything is branding. So my physical appearance, my visual language gives you a right messages that are not necessarily verbal. It's just how I transmit right now with what I'm wearing, how my style, my hair is looking, the tone of, everything, how I'm set in colors, right? This is my visual image that I give. So that's one part of charisma. And that can be broken down again, right? because if you think about this, is like, okay, how can I feel comfortable in my clothes, right? Usually when I feel comfortable in my body, I feel comfortable in my clothes, and therefore it doesn't really matter what I wear per se, as long as it's not completely funky and rotten down and you know, outrageous, you know, unless it's part of your show, of your presentation about, you know, some surprise that you want to deliver, I would, you know, not go into that direction. So as long as this is just underlining the personality that you are, anima sana in corpore sano, that means if you are healthy, then whatever you wear is healthy. If you feel great, then everything you wear is great. If you are good about yourself, then what you put on will kind of emphasize and underline that and support that. If you feel bad, on the other hand, right, always reverse engineer the process. If you're not feeling good in your body, if things are not well in your life, then you can wear whatever. You can put on the greatest jewelry. And this is my point with reverse psychology, because people that probably wear that jewelry, they do it for the reason to cover up for whatever psychological inconsistency there is in their lives. Let me know in the comment section down below. And I'm not saying this because I'm jealous of the amount of money that you needed, you know, in order to kind of buy such expensive jewelry. I'm just saying people that are wearing too much jewelry, I'm just making a speculation here. Probably that is based on the fact that they want to cover up something rather than emphasize something. And cover-ups are usually, you know, a great way to spot that there is a psychological inconsistency. Again, that observation can serve you also when you are creating a character for yourself. It's like, my character isn't really solid inside, so maybe he wears some flashy clothes in order to cover up for, you know, his darkness. I think there is Kanye West who, on his first track, there is a similar line that kind of, you know, goes along those lines that exemplifies what I was just talking about, right? That money sometimes is being used to cover up for a void that we feel inside. So yes, we, as leaders, as showmanship, you know, presenters, like Jang likes to say it, man, I'm hoping I'm getting his name right. Otherwise, please let me know, right? Don't bash me for that. He breaks it down in two ways. And this is, of course, also something that I add on top of my own, because I feel whether it's visual or it's vocal, it always can be broken down in 4 main chunks, right? In 4 pieces of the pie. If you have your pie, and we talked about this in also in one of our open class doodles, one of the, you know, first that we did, there are just 4 aspects to our success. It's a mental aspect, right? It's a tactical aspect, a technical, and a physical. There is nothing else, right? You have a mental assessment, right? And of course, your mind needs to be in great shape and fit as well. Anima sana in corpore sano. And with that, you make a more or less, you know, kind of acute and astute tactical assessment of the situation, of the character, of what you want to show. And then you need a technical breakdown. Okay, I want to show this. I want to show a tap dance move during my audition. It needs to look great. I want to do a tap dance. Maybe it is required, or maybe it's just your idea, right? So therefore, what do I need to do? Right? The mental assessment gave you a tactical result, and that formed the technical assessment again, right? What do I need? I need to take lessons. Maybe I need to buy shoes. Maybe I need to kind of warn my neighbors that it's going to get loud in the next couple of weeks, because then I'm going to train the heck out of tap dance, right? And then, of course, I need to get into that physical mode and train and get all the resources possible in order to really, you know, first assess if this is looking good, and also if I'm improving, and then integrating that into my audition, for example, right? So for me, there are only 4 pillars all the time, whatever you want to do. So stage presence is the same thing. And this is exactly what I would tell also my clients. This is like, actually, this open class doodle feels a bit more like a free masterclass right now, but it doesn't matter, guys. I love to provide you with the most value. And if you smash the like button, and if you subscribe to this channel as well, you know, I'm more than happy with the payment. Hey, Martin, how are you, sir? So I've always wanted to be an actor, but I don't know how to do it better in performance as well as in speech. So here's the thing, Martin. Thank you so much. It's Martin Essen. It's an absolutely relevant question. So ask yourself, by reverse engineering the process, when you see a great performance, how can you screw up that performance? How can you make this performance look ugly and bad and unprofessional? Or again, ask yourself, like, how should a great actor or a successful, not successful per se, but successful in terms of someone who successfully masters his skills and his instruments, how should that actor prepare for a role in order, to completely screw up that audition? Right? Like that actor probably, should throw away the pages, never look at them, like live a crazy lifestyle for 5 days, not going to sleep, not exercising his voice, taking drugs, dancing too much, drinking too much alcohol, and therefore completely screwing this up, right? Because again, it's what we're discussing here. If you have a mental assessment, so you go with the result first, and you say, okay, successful actor is an actor that is convincing, that is transponding emotions, that is, always kind of genuine and believable, realistic. That is the actor that I want to be. That is the performer that I like to be one day. So tactically, how can I do this? Well, I have to exercise. I have to read different resources and, watch masters at their work and get maybe also some feedback by a coach or, hit me up for a free trial session, discovery session. And then I have to kind of translate that into a technical breakdown. So am I fit to correspond to that quality level? Yes or no? No. Why? Because there is still like a gap in terms of my expression, in terms of my phonetics, in terms of how transparent I am with the, with the emotional transmission. All these things, assess them like effectively, or with your friends, your family coming over and like, hey, here's a monologue. What do you think is missing? I'm showing you something. I'm giving you a poem. I'm giving you a monologue. Hey, was that entertaining? Like, ask them what would you still improve? And by reverse engineering always the process and say, how would a successful actor go about this? He would break it down like this. He said, hey, there are 4 aspects to this, and I need to exercise every day in order to get better with everything that involves acting. It's usually my mental aspect, it's my vocal aspect, it's my physical aspect. And when you do this constantly, and it really trickles down and you work with great people, for sure you get better. For sure you improve. Was that helpful? Let me know, please. It's really important because this is a great question. It's better means new, means different, means go into different, have different options. We did an open class doodle about that, about having ideas, where creative ideas actually come from. And I also say it here, right? You need to be open. Like creativity, great creativity comes from a tremendous openness, from a radical honesty of being open to the moment and being, right? If you observe yourself of closing down, of having always an excuse why not to do something instead of just doing it, if you observe yourself, or you kind of, you catch yourself like rather not investing the time, or maybe avoiding and telling yourself more than showing yourself that you're already good at it, then probably you should, put some more, timber sticks into the fire and get this thing a bit higher. But otherwise, it happens over time, and it happens with the great people around you as well. So these technical skills, they will give you also what we're talking about today. When you practice them, that knowledge, that experience automatically will lead to a reflection. That reflection is like what you're having right now, for instance. Hey, I'm having this thought, like, is this actually good? Does this bring me forward? It's like, okay. And now I've done something, and the audience was reacting so la to it. And next time I bring something else, and I do maybe the same text with a completely different look or with a completely different idea, and they react in the same way or in a different way. Do they accept it more or less? And through that pattern recognition, and this is basically what we do as actors, like there is nothing left, besides, doing it, failing, and getting better. Because just by doing it, you get really an idea, like, how are they reacting? And this goes for charisma as well. Like, charisma is not made on the first day. It is made, it is forged. It's a long process. When you have the result in mind and you break down the speech, and then you set it up in you translate it into a technical set of skills that you want to break down, and then you have, of course, and you review yourself. Like, what he was suggesting is that the review should happen in 3 different phases. I could subscribe to this, that you also have to transcribe, but what I like the most is when you have a text, transcribe it for yourself and get intimate with the line and understand what these lines are about by writing them out for yourself. And then maybe having someone coming over, and like, if you're writing your own material, and of course looking over your shoulder, correcting you and giving you some advice. But if you are giving a text or a song, right, transcribe it for yourself, because that builds also trust in what you say. Like, if you have a presentation, don't just have it there on the sheet of paper. Make it your presentation by transcribing it, by creating images in your mind through the process. It's not just learning it from a flat surface. It's really letting in, allowing it to trickle down inside of you. Martin says, I live in Estonia. We could learn to be actors, but here it is somehow more demanding. The teachers are strict, and many actors from my country have not studied to be actors, but have proven themselves. Right. Mm-hmm. Well, what you can do, my friend, is definitely you can reach out and let's have a talk. Let's have a discovery session. Don't worry about pronunciation or anything. I communicate with creators worldwide, right? We have people in India and the Philippines. We have people in Scotland, right? So don't worry about English or pronunciation or anything. But if you really like to deepen your craft or getting a bit more, hands to tool that proven to be successful, then definitely let's communicate. Just shoot me a message. Let's see if we can find through the courses, a program or a couple of single sessions to kind of give you the right tools right away, so you then can study for yourself, improve, and find also way into the industry. Definitely, if online, I mean, use the internet. Besides me or any other coach, use the internet. Get together with people online, have Zoom calls or Facebook community tabs, or kind of find yourself on other platforms, Rumble, Kick. There are many other ways to connect, and just exchange yourself. Have group sessions where you read, where you critique your material, where maybe you shoot a little video every week, and then you guys watch what you have recorded, a monologue, something that you transcribe from a movie or from another show. Have community sessions, right? So there are great ways online to kind of connect and to learn a lot. There's people on Fiverr. There are a lot of resources online that you can find in order to kind of get better with pretty much any skill, especially also with acting. And of course, we have the free acting masterclass that is a great opportunity to connect with other people, to network, to watch us at work as well, where we talk about many crucial and pivotal aspects of the entertainment world, such as the audition process. We dedicated 3 single master classes to this very, very important topic, and we covered it in 3 months time, because it's such an important part of our job as well, right? The preparation, the reading, and the aftermath, what we're going to talk about and discuss this Saturday, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So definitely join. It's you can register for free. It's great fun, and it will definitely open up a couple of new windows to insights and other experience. So definitely be part of the creative community, man. I'd like to have you on Saturday, and everybody else as well in the chat. Join us to a new masterclass experience. Coming back to us, charisma again. What you do on stage is based on these two principles. And these two principles, you can break them down in these four skills that you have to master in order to master those two main principles. And there are many ways to, like what we were saying right now with Martin, like there are many ways to counter, double check if that stuff works. And by recording and reviewing your stuff and being honest with what you give out, you can achieve really a lot also when you're training for yourself. So never lose that also, because training doesn't just happen with our coaches, with us coaches, or when you go to an acting school. Training happens everywhere. Auditions happening everywhere. Everywhere it's showbiz. Everywhere it's entertainment time. Look at people outside, what they're doing when they're juggling, when they're performing, when they're singing, clowns, the Iron Man stand still, and then you give him some money and then he activates and he opens up. Everybody is entertaining. Everybody's showing beautiful ladies walking down the street, the guys super muscular, right? This is all acting. This is all entertaining. This is all an audition. So there is always a way of double checking, of seeing how you impact people. If you are open and you're direct and you look really at things in an honest and granular way, you will get a lot of feedback from society. This is also why I don't understand why people, when they tell me, yeah, I don't know what to do, I'm depressed, I'm this, go out, watch people, talk with people, engage in conversations, show your monologue on the street. Put down your hat and try to get some money, like get into interesting situations, go to a museum. There's always something to do. It's always a method of improving our skill sets. And charisma comes from that, that leader showmanship, that communication skill that comes from being willing to expose yourself. Okay, so this is part one. And this is everything that covers our appearance and what skills we use. But Ving goes on by telling us also that there is, of course, the vocal image. And this was something that I found really interesting, because for us actors, of course, our voice is a very important instrument. The way especially when we're talking about theater, but then again, also when the microphone is very close to our vocal cords and we have to be very, very subtle, right? So with our voice, there is definitely the magic happening, and there are so many instruments inside of our voice, so many worlds with our voice, with our vocal image, with the language that our sonar language, right? That other language, that frequency language, that language that speaks to the emotions, right? Because yes, of course, what we do with the body, we know from the 738-55 rule that the body, in a way, kind of gives us the most important informations. But when it's about the power of appearing, of course, our voice, carries and demonstrates and exemplifies what we love to show, right? That's why it's called show business. We communicate our ideas, we exemplify what we're saying, we're having an evolving speech that kind of impacts people, that inspires them, that takes them away, that kind of gives them crazy new insights, that sparks new ideas and images in their heads. And so therefore this exchange happens through what we're saying. And the better we say those things, of course, the more impact we have. So how many ways do we have? Like, what is important about our speech, about our vocal language, right? About the waves that we emit. I broke this down a bit differently than him. I think the most important thing for everything that you do in life is rhythm, because rhythm is relevance, right? Everything is rhythm. Rhythm opens people up. Right? Rhythm connects. Rhythm is interesting. Rhythm is something that you remember, relevant, recognition, regeneration, revolution, right? Everything that's R and E is powerful. It always comes back. Re or Ra, the god of the sun in Egypt, the spiritual sun that always appears back, right? Inside of us, right? After darkness, there's always light coming back. So that rhythm, that remembering effect. And also when I'm learning my lines, I always go for the rhythm first, because the rhythm gives me that kinetic anchor. It's like I can remember better if I set up a certain rhythmical pattern for my lines, whatever I have to say. Even years later, if I still have the rhythm, I still have the lines. So the rate, our pulsation, right, the rhythm, that gives us relevance. If we have a lot of very important things to say, and they are completely out of place in terms of rhythm and the way we say the things we say, then even what I say can be the most important thing. If it lacks rhythm, it won't appear, right? It won't impact. On the other hand, if I have rhythm, if I have a delivery that can change, where I can speed down a little bit and decrease my velocity and also pick my velocity up and give it a funky rhythm, give it a tone so you can remember it because it's relevant all of a sudden, that plays a different part, right? It sounds different. Rhythm gives me confidence because it's clear, because I have things in control. And yes, it is hard to exercise. Rhythm is not something that comes easy. What I usually recommend is put on hip-hop instrumentals. Like whatever speech you got, even if it's a classical speech or like historical, kind of language, put on a nice classical hip hop instrumental and exercise that to the rhythm, right? Get rhythm inside of your delivery, because rhythm functions as an anchor for your memory, but it's also, an anchor for the emotion. It's an anchor for the intention. And therefore it works both ways and it gives you more control over your speech. It's easier to manipulate what you're saying if you have rhythm. Then, of course, I have volume. If I'm too, slow, if I'm too quiet, if I'm too subtle, if I'm too, introvert, then I won't reach people. It doesn't mean that loudness exemplifies importance, but till a certain degree, it actually does, right? If we say things very quietly the whole time, it's very hard to get that they are super important to us. But if some things are said a bit more loudly than others, then probably you would think that these words mean something else, right? You see, by just increasing the volume a little bit, you give another spin to the words, another meaning. And so volume is vitality, right? It's vital. Right, it makes us, connect, right? And subconsciously also, if we don't use our volume in a threatening way, it gives us also authority. It's a game that also here you need some skillfulness in order to really to have the dexterity of using volume in a way where it serves you more than being, aggressive or threatening, right? Volume is just there to exemplify something, to bring it on a different stage, to make it heard even in the last row. So it's important to have full control over your volume. People with charisma have that. They know exactly, hey, I can emphasize something and go loud immediately and have full control over my voice and being way more outgoing. And then I can reduce the volume again and be a bit more quieter in order to exemplify something else. And I can go even more subtle and point out like a teeny fragmented detail about something, right? And I still can be precise and clear and confident. And then I can turn up my volume again and even change my rhythm while I'm doing that. And again, right? Now you see, I have control. I play. I tell you where to go. And it doesn't need to be, too loud or too aggressive. It's just that you are aware on how you control it and what you can do. The more you have possession and mastery over the range of your skills, the more options you will automatically possess, which will make you less panic, right? Less afraid of the presentation, which will make you more confident about what you say and give you more also, the reason to improvise maybe sometimes if you feel the hunch of doing that. If that makes sense to you guys, let me know in the comment section down below. And yes, my pitch, right? Where I go with my voice, right? Oh, the Coach MC Studio, right? So what can you do with your voice? How much control do you have over your voice? You can, I actually, one of the first videos that we shot a couple of years ago about the book Purple Cow, you know, I have this concept where I explain in the video about Seth Godin's groundbreaking, incredible book, Purple Cow, where I talk about like, hey, you want to be a great performer, but yet you don't exercise, you know, pitching your voice, transforming your voice. So maybe you just by, you know, exercising and seeing how much control you can have, how much you can pitch, right? How much power you can produce. This is how you can, you know, see how public you can become with your voice, with your presentation, with your charisma, right? With your skills that you are now operating with more skillfulness, with more control. Because the way we pitch, this is our melody. I can give you, you know, you remember songs more than you remember any dry monologue, right? Monologues, yeah, we memorize them, we have an audition, then we forget them. But a song, you will never forget. When the night has come, ooh, and the land is dark, right? You never forget those words, right? Check out Open Class Doodles with Wyatt's Metal, where we talk about also Stand By Me and other great songs, right? But yeah, you remember songs because of the melody, because of the pitch, because they were made public, you know, because they had a certain power. And that musicality, you know, it makes it memorable. It's very, very important. And of course, emotion, energy, electricity, right? That you transpond things, transmit things with a certain urgency, with a certain necessity, right? That it's not just words, that it's meaning something. Because that definitely influences your tonality, your temper, and your tact, right? There's a certain tact, a certain decency about how you use speech, and also the tact on how you deliver certain things and certain aspects, right, of your presentation. All these things, they build that grandeur, that splendor, that, well, yes, this is stage appearance. Here I see a full package kind of working flawlessly, where all gears are set in the right place, working in the right direction to kind of make this clockwork function and great and appealing. And like, our remote control is our face. This concept I love because our face really tells, right? If we are fearful, if we are angry. If you think about the 6 ground emotions, what is that? You know, we're surprised, we're disgusted, we're sad, we're happy, we're angry, we are fearful, right? These are the 6 emotions, and they show where? In my face. Yes, I can, of course, use my voice to emphasize that, but first I need to understand, you know, by looking at your face, like, what is happening here? And so showmanship is also giving us the clarity to express these emotions, right? And to not trying to cover them up. Well, nowadays, we put such a, you know, and I want to, please don't get me wrong, right? Nowadays, there is a huge agenda going on where we want to protect people, and we're talking about safety all the time, and yes, and not expose, and people shouldn't be, of course, abused, and you know, that's common sense. I don't think we even have to debate this. It's sad enough, right? If we would just all respect each other, then we wouldn't need those debates. And of course, it's important to kind of waking us up to certain events when they are getting too dark and too dangerous and too threatening to humanity and civilization as a culture. But in the end, sometimes I feel we are overprotecting, especially here in the West. We are overprotecting the kids. We are overprotecting labor. We are over labor in sense of being, you know, on all levels, not only on the lowest levels, up to the highest levels, right? That being exposed to criticism, to true constructive criticism, I mean, to, you know, to processes that are made to improve the work, and not just kind of, you know, starting to assume that everybody, because he gets hired and earns money, will do always his best, because that's not the case. So you have to create structures that, you know, incentivize progress, improvement, and quality and value. And we don't see those structures. We don't see those processes. We don't see these instruments working everywhere on a, you know, regular basis in order to incentivize that in people's behavior. So sometimes what I mean by that, with this huge rant right now that is completely off topic, is that in order to be great performers, we need to be open. Let's face it. We have it right here. We have to show. That's show business. We have to open ourselves up. This is how we control these emotions also. And by overprotecting ourselves, we're also definitely overprotecting the potential that could come potentially out of ourselves. And therefore, I'm not saying you should throw yourself always into, into dangerous projects, but sometimes you need to risk. You need to just open up and see what happens next, right? And without exactly knowing where this road may take you, it doesn't matter. Go there. Show your emotions. Have control over them by admitting them and not trying to suppress them, right? Don't be scared. It's all good. We're going to survive this. It's just you on a stage, 2,000 people listening, and your job, your life, your career depending from it. So, hey, don't complain. No, but this is where you have fun. This is how you control them, right? This is how you control you. And this, the remote control of your emotions, that's your face. This is where everything appears. So in order to build that charisma, like Rowan Atkinson said, right? Stand in front of a mirror and do silly things until they make total sense to you. And don't forget to pause. Because a great pause emphasizes authority and the knowledge package that was just delivered. Ding dong! Hey, who are you? I'm the Coach MC Studio. So what do you want? Deliver an info package. Thank you. You're welcome. Much obliged. See you at the Coach MC Studio. Please subscribe. I hope you have mail, not stocks. Okay. Thank you for this little public service announcement. No, but surely a pause is a powerful weapon as well, because silence sometimes screams louder than words. So when you have the right pause, the right break, the right confidence, where you know, hey, technically, I have delivered everything, right? The information is out there. I've been consistent with my rhythm. I've delivered everything with the appropriate volume. I gave vitality to my speech. I knew exactly how to pitch it and to control the public by having the power. I inserted the melody so it's memorable. I delivered the emotion. So now it's time for a pause. And just let whatever just was said, admit the space also, not in you, but also in the counterpart's brain. Give them the space to breathe. Give them the space to reflect. Give them the space to think about what you just said. Again, nowadays I see a lot of people thinking that they are leaders because they talk a lot or they talk too loud. They think they are leaders on stage because they don't stop, spilling out info. But that's not true. Sometimes it's also the respect for space, and we need a breather sometimes. We need a moment where we can relax sometimes. Our space, our mental space is heavily occupied, right, by our sensorial array, by what we see, and there's so much noise going on. And I feel sometimes people are treating the stage, hey, I have to show my client something, or the monologue in the audition room, or, like a slate at a callback or something. They treat this as now it's my time to shine. Well, not necessarily. Maybe it's your time just to listen and to shut the fuck up and to resist the temptation to overdo it. Look who's talking. Thank you for this open therapy session that I can share with you guys. I mean, the guy who talks too much, talks about taking a break and having a pause once in a while. Yes, when we're performing, definitely. Because that gives us, again, more clarity. It eliminates also these unnecessary gap fillers, these smokers. On the bottom of the sea ground, that's so crazy. If you travel to the bottom of the sea ground, what you will find is black smokers, especially on those volcanic rifts areas, right? We have those ridges where volcanic activity and seismic activity kind of, coincides. And those lines, along those lines, on the sea ground, on the bottom of the sea, on the sea ground, you will find those chimneys, and they're called black smokers. And actually, science doesn't really, yes, there's a lot of nutrients. There's also, they thought for a long time that there couldn't be any life developing near those black smokers, those chimneys, but it's actually not true. There are some particles that could be called organic life that are growing up in this very hot environment that is ultra loaded with bacteria, and they're actually thriving in that environment. right? And so why am I telling the story? Because a black smoker is someone who puts out a lot of smoke all the time. And yes, there are some nutrients once in a while, but overall it's very just hot air, right? And so when we have the sensation or the necessity to talk because we are insecure, because we feel nervous, right? We put out a lot of hot air, a lot of black smoke, but actually very, like in terms of nutrients, it's very low. So find through pauses also a way of having something consistent told to people, and don't fall into the trap. Don't go for the temptation. Don't overdo it. Don't lean into, right, the assumption that more is better. Better is okay, but different is better than better. So different can also mean, hey, I shut up now. I listen for a bit. I look at my audience. I get in contact with them also, again, on a physical level. I don't try to be a black smoker to just blast over them without really perceiving them. I'm trying to be part of this conversation here. And now it gets way more interesting. Of course, that exposes you to the risk that it gets a bit too personal, and then therefore you might fumble here and there. But that's just beautiful. It's just natural behavior. It's just human. And that could even help you to get even better at this, right? Because it would just result probably in the audience loving you even more for not being completely perfect and alien and like a robot, right? Delivering this, immaculate speech and then going off stage and it's like, hey, I'm human as well. You see, it's more like how you recover from that instead of not even doing that in the first place, if that makes sense to you. And what we talked about today is really like I said, it's just you knowing that everything can be broken down into, a set of skills, that there is not such a thing like, oh, I can't learn this. I can't do this. This is unachievable. If you break it down in small packages, probably it is. And if it's completely against your perception of who you are, against your interest, if it's completely against your current, then it's probably not the fitting product. But otherwise, it can be learned. It can be acquired. It's always an excuse to say, well, he's a genius. He had that from birth. Yes and no. There is definitely also a lot of structure that went into making this better, right? And giving that thing that, right? We just need to create that connection between tongue and brain and to make that connection as flawless as possible. Because there is nothing, I'm telling you, creative community, chat, I'm telling you out there on Facebook and Instagram, there's nothing more beautiful than genuine conversation, than great communication between one and another human being. Right? And we can skip, we can fumble, we can sometimes screw up. It doesn't really matter. If we catch that up, we're human about it, courageous and, humorous, and don't stiff. Like if we coming from a place of embracing the moment and being generous and full of love instead of fear and doubt, and we're not retracing but expanding, we are embracing instead of isolating. We are, we are radiating instead of, kind of closing. When we see it from that perspective, you see that there is no such thing as failure. And charisma is it's just a matter of standing up there and telling your story and being okay with it. And there is definitely something about your story that is interesting, and kind of showing that, exemplifying that with a couple of gestures, with a couple of interesting, linguistic ideas, with a beautifully transported speech, with working on your vocal image, on the way you express, on your sound, and putting on a style that reflects you on a stage that is tasteful and adequate, and having the context that serves you. And you will see this is 80% of the impact. This is 80% of the work that everybody can do. And then it's about the opportunity catches the preparation, where most people think that is luck, which is not. It's just you being prepared at the right moment that shows up. Sometimes that so-called overnight luck happens 10 years in the making, sometimes 20, 30, 5 years. It doesn't matter. It happens when it's supposed to happen. Charisma comes also from being, of course, resilient. And that resilience doesn't come from anywhere. It comes from experience. It comes from failing. It comes from suffering as well sometimes. And getting feedback and hating yourself, right? How many times do you think I was on stage and kind of coming down? It's like, I will just shoot myself right now. I was so not satisfied with what I was doing sometimes, right? And I knew I was about to screw, and I still was doing it, like sabotaging myself sometimes in the process. And I can always blame so many people. In the end, it's always me. Yeah, but he distracted me. Did you tell him that you were working on something important, that he should call you back in an hour and not disturb you in the meanwhile? That you made sure that you have your private zone that where nobody can intrude, where nobody can come in and invade and infect your creative product, your process? Did you take all the precautions, all the measures, the countermeasures to prevent that anyone kind of distracts you? Probably not. That's why you got distracted, because you left the door open for the distraction. If you close all doors, there's nothing left anymore except you and the work. This is what most people are scared of, myself included. And this is where I would sabotage myself in the past. And still today, where I find these toxic behavior traits still somehow like a code, like a virus, still kind of active sometimes in my system. And then I always fight back as much as I can. Because in that struggle lies the character that then will appear on stage to be, oh, he's so charismatic. Yes, because he's resilient, because he went through the experience, because he tried to kind of overcome his demons and get understood and was working on all the skills necessary in order to make this a successful and entertaining show. This is where charisma comes from. It comes definitely also from that type of, putting yourself up to the task and opening yourself up to the criticism and, putting yourself also up to the reflection afterwards with all the necessary honest review that you have to make. Not beating yourself down, not denigrating yourself the whole time, not picking yourself apart. You can also over criticize yourself and being too harsh on you. I was just recently asking people like about the open class doodles that I, also people from the panel from Saturday Night Hypnosis, where you can catch me every Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Hypnotics YouTube channel, where, from the panel, we also have next Tuesday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Open Class Doodles again with Dragon Slayer commentaries for the Battle of Troy, for episode number 20 of the Open Class Doodles. But of course, I'm always counter-checking. I'm always asking people, hey, I feel like this is not good enough, or my content, or this. It's like, hey, well, okay. It's like people, hey, you need patience sometimes. The stuff is good already. Don't worry about too much. Don't over criticize. It's good. Like, work on your values, work on your improvement, and the product will drive the result home. Don't worry about that. And so, of course, there is trust that needs to be put in the process. It's hard in the beginning where the result haven't showed up yet, and so definitely you don't have like that type of, oh, okay, I've established, I've accomplished, I've been recognized already, so I have that psychological security that something works already and I can build up on that. But hey, that doesn't mean anything. What sometimes works 5 years ago doesn't necessarily be still active and relevant today. So the relevancy comes from, can I relate to the material? And the relatability comes from, hey, can you please review the material, right? By reviewing, if it's relatable, because it has still that relevance. Otherwise, you won't ever catch that type of fire. And that is truly necessary because, again, charisma, sometimes it's also what you not say. It's about how you can take a pause and really look into people's eyes and really make them understand that you've went through that and that you've understood what it meant to you. And that this important piece of your realization now is open knowledge, open source, and therefore they should take advantage of it, right? Because that's the beauty of the public presentation. That's the beauty of putting yourself out there. Yes, it's a risky moment, but then the reward is 1,000 times bigger than not even trying it. Because at home, the only one clapping is you. On stage, it's the audience. And so we want to hear that standing ovation. We want to hear that echo. We want to hear that wave hitting us. We want to. We need to. We want to be seen. We want to be acknowledged. We want to be, proven, to certain standards that we're finally arriving at a level that is acceptable. Because otherwise, why we're doing this? Why we're living in these cities? just to kind of, roam around like zombies. The improvement makes us, stay on track, stay on course. It's our Polaris, it's our navigating star. The improvement gives us the necessity and also the ability. The necessity of improving gives us the necessity to, put action behind our work and not just words. And that means, of course, that we expose, and that, of course, will improve us again. And so therefore, it's a never-ending cycle. And success is just the natural byproduct of that necessity of that improvement. And if you see it as such, it kind of de-escalates the fear and the doubtfulness that might come to you when you think, oh, am I a good actor? Am I a good presenter? Am I charismatic enough? Can I really drag people into my story? What can I do? It's like, no, it doesn't exist. It's like you're going through the improvement. You're showing people what you got right now. It's not about, telling a story that you're not and trying to make up for something that you're not. It's being that and being okay with that. And giving people that. And because I feel like the most courageous thing nowadays is to be just a truthful, impactful, and genuine communicator of ideas, and not trying to tell people, give them the ultimate formula or the immaculate, algorithm, or, this is like hyper genius magical touches like what we did today. There is no hypergenical, there is no magical touch, it's just all. These are all skills that can be broken down, reviewed, learned, improved. Reviewed, learned, improved. And yes, we improve. That's perfectly fine. And every time there's something new, we implement it. And when the stuff that we produce for so long is outdated, we discard it and we take new stuff in. Throw the ballast off, take new passengers in, and fly to new heights. And so, guys, thank you so much for sticking by to the Charisma Open Class Doodles. Tactical doodles for success. How can I unlock my inner superhero? How can I turn the charisma engine on? How can I transport ideas to a bigger audience? How can I communicate in a powerful, genuine, and impactful way? How can I be a relatable and reliable and relevant speaker, and at the same time not just delivering bullet points and info and stats, but being truthful and genuine in the colportation of my message? And at the same time also, how can I find my own style in this? Like, how is this all composed? What are the segments, the building blocks of the visual image and the vocal image, right? What is it that I'm transmitting ultimately here? Because it's all coming back, it's all reflecting back to us in a good, in a bad, in a positive, in a not so positive way. It's just the event coming back that means that we finally activated a reaction. And that will, of course, set off a chain reaction, which then will, of course, lead to a bigger reaction. And when you have that, you have multiple choices, multiple options. You will not complain about not finding work, not being charismatic anymore. It's like, no, what is the next mission? What is the next improvement? What is the next challenge? When is the next Open Class Doodles? Next Tuesday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, with my man Dragon Slayer commentaries, the Battle of Troy, tactical doodle to show Greek mythology and to kind of understand what the gods were thinking back then, and kind of taking info, insight, wisdom, and also entertainment out of that. 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturday, we have Hypnotic with the Saturday Night Hypnosis. But before that, we have 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the Masterclass, where we're going to talk about Audition Tips Volume 3. The Trinity comes to a fruition, comes to an end, the aftermath, so important. We're going to talk about the slate. We're going to talk about the callbacks and even the chemistry readings. What should I take into account? What are the crucial things that I kind of need to observe there? What are the pivotal moments? What is really fundamental about the aftermath process once I got to the callback and all that? How can I secure myself in my way into the project? How can I, kind of seal this deal and put it into a vault and make it mine and kind of add a new, piece of, to the mosaic legacy that I want to leave behind for the audiences and the generations to come, right? We're gonna explore all that on this Saturday, 16th, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. live on Zoom. Register with the link down below or through my link tree on my Instagram. Thank you so much, guys. You can, of course, follow me also on Twitter, on TikTok, on LinkedIn, and I have also a Telegram channel where you can subscribe to, where I have a bit more, sometimes like, out of time types of interventions, right? Just stuff that comes through my mind. Very sporadic, very crazy. And otherwise, see you with the next Open Class Doodles. Thank you so much for sticking by. Thank you, chat, for being here. Thank you for the likes. Thank you to the Facebook community, to the Instagram crowd. See you next time, guys, with the next video, because now you're ready to perform.